What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Collector's Outpost. I am John. Well, we're taking a look at Ezra's third lightsaber. This is from the Ahsoka series, which was really cool because I was on edge of whether or not we were actually going to see Ezra. And through Rebels, we actually got to see him create a couple of different lightsabers. So this was his first one. We know it had those really tiny, thin blades. But this was the first one that he designed. It had a little blaster on the front, which was a really cool lightsaber. You know, it kind of grips, you have it, it's like a blaster gun. It's really, really cool. And then we see him down the line again with this lightsaber, his green lightsaber. Now, this is actually a review coming up. This is a new XENO V3 based on his green lightsaber from Rebels. Now, we already did a review on a Rebels style lightsaber, if you remember. And I did all of the weathering on this myself. It has more of a live action look, so it's not green or blue or anything like that. But this represents a little bit more of what we would see in real life. Now, I will be giving this one away at 15,000 subscribers, so make sure you drop down below, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button for upcoming videos. Now, to enter to win this particular lightsaber at 15,000 subscribers, this is an SNV4. Make sure you drop down below and find that link to go over to Instagram. Make sure you follow the directions on Instagram, and you'll be entered to win this lightsaber. So I gotta say, it's been kind of cool to see this journey of Ezra from Rebels Season 1 to now the Ahsoka series, and he's now on his third lightsaber. So basically, he runs through Huyang's junk garage, we'll call it that, and basically recreates Kanan Jarrus's lightsaber in a sense, with all of the extra parts that Huyang had in the Jedi junkyard that he's got there. Now, what was cool about that scene is that Huyang discovers that Kanan had taught Ezra.
Is that so?
Ezra finds out that Kanan was taught by Huyang.
How could you know him?
And then he turns around and kind of recreates Kanan's lightsaber.
Now it all makes sense.
So that's where we are right now with this lightsaber. This is Ezra's third lightsaber from the Ahsoka series. And I want to thank Vader Sabers for sending this on over for everybody to check out. I will put a direct link down below with a discount code for you if you're interested in picking this one up. But before we dig into this review, if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. Please drop down below, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. And if you are a return viewer, thank you so much for hanging out. Since this channel has begun, it's grown so much. Thank you to all of you. Now, the one thing you're going to notice is that this case is a little bit different. So this doesn't come with a carrying case included. It comes with more of a cardboard style box with your blade and everything in that. But this you can actually add on as an accessory. This is a mini case. I actually really like this. You can also find these little mini 12-inch blades or other size blades, and you can even find a more show blade that basically weighs nothing. Again, it's a show blade, it's very thin, you don't want to duel or anything with this, but we are going to use this show blade in this video. All right, so let's open this bad boy up and see what comes with this here. Obviously, we have the Ezra 3 lightsaber, and I gotta say, this thing is sweet. They did not go with a chrome finish. This is more of a kind of like a brushed metal, which I absolutely love. I'm kind of glad they're getting away from the chrome plated look because I just really don't like that really shiny finish. But this more brushed metal feel is way more realistic and way better feeling. It doesn't take fingerprints or anything. So this is where I hope they stay with developing anything that's aluminum and kind of like raw metal looking. And what we're going to do with this, we're actually going to update the firmware in here and install a sound font. And the reason why I want to do that is because on the new firmware update, they made installing the sound font even easier. All right, but before we get to that, let's see the couple of other things we have here. We do have the full manual. It has everything with the app and everything in here to run through. And we have our little tool pack here with Allen wrenches and retention screws. And this here is the USB-C charging cable. And we do have our USB adapter here. So first comes first, let's update the firmware and then install the font so you can see how easy XENO has become. So first thing we're going to do, we are going to update the saber. So let's hook it up to the XENO app. Then we're going to go to the bottom right icon, click on that, and then click into your saber. And then you'll see right here the firmware update. So let's update this to 1.2.5. pull out the chassis here. All right, so on the chassis, we do have our kill switch right up there on top. We have our USB-C port there and our battery right there. Now you flip it around and we have our SD card. Now, before you pull out your SD card, make sure you click off on the kill switch there so it kills the battery out, and then you can continue to pull out your SD card. Now I have a different SD card reader because my computer accepts SD adapters or SD cards direct, so we're just gonna pop that in. So on the left side, we have our sound font. Now this sound font is the Nomad sound font from Kyberphonic. I'll put a direct link for this down below. Now they come already pre-configured for a bunch of different things like XENO, Profi, CFX, GHV3. So all you want to do is drag and drop your XENO folder over to the file here. Now, what you're gonna notice is that when you added a font, you had to open up your config file, add a line of text, and a couple of different little code things in there, which has now gone away. It is pretty much drag and drop now. You don't have to add any extra code. All there is to do now is drag your XENO folder over to your SD card and label it whatever the next consecutive number is. All right, so let's do a test. We are again on firmware 1.2.5. Let's pop that back in, okay? We're gonna turn our kill switch on, power this on. All right, and what we're gonna do before we even pop this back into the hilt, we're going to make sure that this works correctly. All right, let's go on over to our app, open up the XENO Configurator app. We are connected. All right, now let's make sure our firmware is all up to date. 1.2.5 right there, beautiful. All right, now we didn't add any extra code or anything. We're gonna go into our fonts, all right? And right down there, we have our extra font, 35.
Ezra?
How easy is that? They made this so user-friendly. It's almost hard to screw up at this point. You know, it is drag and drop, add the folder number, pop the thing back into your lightsaber. So what I love that they're doing with these chassis now, they've added a lot of things like the kill switch. We've got lights down the side. We've got lights up top. So let's power this on. So you can see that we have lights all around there. It just gives the chassis a little bit more life, and especially if you're doing like little mini films like the intro of this video, you get to see all of these cool little things, you know, kind of like the chassis is a little bit more alive with kyber crystals and electronics.
App disconnected.
So that's one thing that you might have problems with the XENO app, is that if you do get too far from the app or you start swinging the saber around, so whatever type of configurations you're doing just for settings, you're going to want to stay kind of close to the app because it will disconnect and you'll have to reconnect to it. I don't really use the app. The app for me is a configuration thing where I set my blade size, I set sensitivity. That's really about it. I'm not going to sit there and keep pushing buttons to play with an app with a lightsaber. It just doesn't make any sense for that. But it is a fantastic tool to have for what you just saw, to update your app with all the new firmwares, to make sure that your blade configuration is set, the sensitivity is set how you need it. It is a fantastic tool, but chances are you really won't use the app all that much. And if you run into any problems like this where it's not hooking back up, pull the chassis out, flip the power switch off, the kill switch, and basically just start over. So let's power this back up again. All right, the next thing is that we're just gonna pull out the battery completely and kind of drain it from any sort of power that it could possibly have in there. Now, this isn't an isolated problem to XENO. It's just technology and Bluetooth problems and stuff like that. And I do have the same exact issues with the SNV4 apps as well. They just disconnect, and sometimes it's just a pain to get the connection back going. But after a little bit of putzing around like this, you do seem to get them back up and running. So there you go. I pulled out the battery for about 30 seconds, popped it back in, just let it reboot itself, and there we go. We are back in business.
App connected.
So I just popped this little blade on here so I can show you a couple of things. I'm not going to do a full walkthrough of the app. The basics are, we have our power. No. So we'll do a quick walkthrough. Here's our power. All right, what we're going to do is adjust our blade size now for this. So let's go into page 2, and let's see. So you can see how you can adjust the blade there. So you just want to get that to touch the top. So it is about 40, it's about 44, 35, so let's go back up to like 44. So back to page 1, what we're going to do is change the color so you can see a couple of the effects. Let's go into the color board here, color palettes, change this on over into red, and then lower the blade color so we can actually see the effects in it. This will basically just turn the blade color down, but will allow you to see all of the effects that are in it. Now, because we configured the blade to this little guy, we'll be able to see everything falling in the right spot. So the lockup will be in the middle, the blade tip drag will be over here at the top. So just like this here, you can see that light up. All right, flash. Blade lockup should be right, yeah, you go right about there. Blasters. Force effects. Now, I love the fact that we have the LED lights over here in the arrows because they do react to everything that's going on with the blade. Isn't that cool? And the effects will change depending on what's going on here. So let's change the hum effect, which is the blade style. Go over to a fire effect, and now you can see that reacting to the fire style blade. You know, and then take the time to go through the menus. The menus have a couple of different settings here. You can adjust your accent swings. 1 will be extremely sensitive in accent swings, and 20 will be basically no accent swings. And then in your color palette is a live preview of whatever you want. So you can bang through this here, through your color palette, or you can use the numbers here and really dial in the color you want. So let's flip this off, pop out this blade, and then reconfigure for the longer blade. So what I want to do is just configure the blade length here. So we're going to flip this on. You can see it's still set for the short blade. Go over to this here, and let's pop that up and figure out what that's going to be. So let's see. So about 109 seems to be about good, and our tip drag seems to be falling in the right spot there. And our lockup is falling right in the middle there. So perfect. So one of the reasons you may wind up not really using the app all that much, besides some basic configurations on sensitivity, blade length, stuff like that, is that all of the settings are pretty much on the hilt. Volume, blade styles, ignition styles, font select, it's all pretty much right here. And I gotta tell you, I love using these show blades. They are so light. It's virtually like not even having a blade on here. Now we have twist on and twist off, which you can flip on and off in the configurations in the app, but I like having them on for the most part. So all of our configurations are on the side button right here. I do wish that this was the actual button, but we do have the power right there on the side. And we have all of our blaster effects, our lockup, push and holds. You can change the color just by holding upside down, hold the button, and give a twist. So the basic configurations on the hilt is just based on counting. So it's going to be 1, it's just going to ignite the saber, and then everything after that you have to learn how to count. So you're going to have a count of 1 for volume. So 1, 1.
Volume high.
So it's just a matter of holding it for a count. So it's like 1 volume, 1, 2 blade styles, 1, 2, 3 ignition styles, 1, 2, 3, 4 fonts. So on the volume, we have 3 different volume settings. So 1,
volume low,
1, and 1,
volume high,
back to high. So in the app, it's called hum effect, but it's basically the blade style. That will be a count of 2. So 1, 2.
steady,
That's just the blade straight on. 1, 2.
unstable,
Kind of a flicker effect. 1, 2.
rainbow blade,
1, 2.
candy blade,
1, 2.
cracked blade,
1, 2.
pulse,
So pulse and fire are my 2 favorites. So the next one is ignition style. So that's going to be a 3 count. So 1, 2, 3.
broken ignition,
1, 2, 3.
Photon ignition.
One, 2, 3.
Stack ignition.
And so on and so forth. Now the next one is the fonts, which is going to be a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Moonfield.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Whispers of power.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The teacher.
Now that is basically going backwards in fonts from, we started at 35, then it went to 34, 33. So now if you hold the saber upside down and you twist counterclockwise,
Whispers of power. Moonfield.
Ezra?
we're back up to 35. Now I gotta say, I am loving this version of Ezra. Obviously it takes a lot of inspiration from Kanan's lightsaber here. And I really love that fact that it's kind of like a tribute to Kanan. You know, it's virtually the exact same emitter. We've got the control box. You know, they changed out the handle part over here. We've got these cool black grips and these kind of like little pieces on the side. So that is it, my friends. This is Ezra's third lightsaber from the Ahsoka series, basically a new Rebels season. Drop down below, let me know what you think of the Ezra 3 lightsaber down in the comments, and while you're down there, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. I have plenty of upcoming lightsaber videos and 6-scale videos and other collectibles that are on the way. All right, my friends, I will see you all on the next video. Be safe and calm out there in the world. See ya.